doing well. Warriors, of course, got a big offseason ahead of them. By the way, Ryan Macchiano, shout out to him and the SF Glenn's women's soccer team. They were just ranked number 1 nationally in the USL Women's League Power Rankings. They've won their first 4 games by a combined 21-1 score, including a 6-1 victory over the Olympic Club last Sunday.
Nice.
And they're the early favorites to win it all in their first season. Next game is Saturday, 3:30. At Skyline College against the Stockton Cardinals. So the SF Glenn's women's soccer team. Shout out to the Glens. Up the Glens as well. Up the Glens. They got the new stadium happening at Treasure Island. I was at the groundbreaking ceremony for that last year. Number 1 in the power rankings nationally. So shout out to Ryan Macchiana and the SF Glenn's women's soccer team.
So there's so many names that are being generated on YouTube right now regarding if we were to create a love show, Bachelor style for Sam Lubman, hate it or love it.
Oh, I like that a lot.
I'll make love to you.
Ooh.
I mean, there's some really good ones.
You know, I think
Love
I like
Shack.
this game.
I like Love Shack.
Love
How did
Connection?
we have to flush this out.
I do.
We could be the first sports radio show to have like a Love Connection type style.
I am kind of with you.
We have to find some women who actually think Sam Lubman's attractive, I guess. That may be difficult. That may be tough. If Sam Lubman
They
has
definitely exist.
like,
That was that might have been the
Mars?
flex moment of the show.
on Mars?
Secret lovers.
On Mars, secret lovers. Oh, my God. Oh, man. Let's get to Rich Aurilia, the pride of St. John's.
Love in an elevator.
One of our favorite shortstops in Giants history, of course. Rich Aurilia, you can catch him on Giants pre- and post-game live. We love him. I know he loves his red wine. I know he's having a lot of that. Richie, good morning, man. Welcome back to the Morning Roast here on 95.7 The Game. We're having some fun here on a Friday. Hopefully you're doing well, you and the family as well. And, you know, a lot of Casey Schmidt hype right now, and deservedly so. He's come out on fire here. Do you believe maybe now we're starting to watch the passing of the torch at the shortstop position? It's a rich history here in San Francisco. Of course, you were a big part of that. Casey Schmidt, looks like we're seeing the passing of the torch here from Brandon Crawford to Casey Schmidt.
Well, yeah, you know, it's I don't know. For me, it's a little too early to say. I mean, he's only been up for a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And listen, if Craw was playing up to his potential right now, you know, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. Casey Schmidt would be playing probably some third base. But it's nice to see again, a homegrown talent come up and make an impact and, play at a high level. And listen, if he's going to play shortstop, he has probably the best mentor he could have in Brandon Crawford. But I always like to say, you know, it's great to see him perform at this level this quickly. You know, we need to just give it a few months because, you know, he did have 2 hits last night, but going into that, he was 3 for his last 19 or 20, I think. He's a really, really aggressive hitter, which I like, but, you know, the second time around the league, you know, he swings at the first pitch, I think, around 50% of the time. And I think the league's going to catch on to that with all the analytics we have these days. And they're going to start throwing him some breaking stuff early in the count and getting the chase. So it's been a nice surprise to see what he's done, both offensively and defensively. And hopefully he keeps it up. But, I'd like to circle back on this in another month or 6 weeks or so and see where we're at. And hopefully, you know, he's still performing at this level.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that you're going to like, and there's certain skills that feel like they're sustainable, especially defensively. But I agree on the bat and whatnot. But for you, as a shortstop, when did you start to know? Because, guys obviously playing in their rec leagues, they go from shortstop to second base to first base. Next thing you know, they're the pitcher. But in the bigs, it's totally different. When did you know that, like, hey, maybe I need to slide over or take a lesser role at shortstop?
When my age caught up to me, basically my body said, you don't really have that first step quickness anymore. Maybe it's time to play some other places. And listen, your body tells you and they tell you, and they meaning whoever you're playing for at the time. And, and for me, it happened, when I was in Cincinnati in 2005, I was a starting shortstop. I pulled a hamstring. I was on the IL for a couple weeks, and young guy that was backing me up, Felipe Lopez, came out, did great. I came off the IL, and they said, you're not starting shortstop anymore. So that's when I took it upon myself to ask, coaches, manager, GM there, hey, can I start moving around the infield and starting to work in different positions? And you know what? For me, that extended my career a number of years. And I felt like I was a productive player until my last year. It's a different situation. When you look at the Cross situation, he's been here his whole career. He's performed at a high level. And there's still a lot of time left in this season. I mean, we're only,
sure.
51 games in, I think, right now. So there is time for him to bounce back. And it's just a matter of, him getting the opportunity to bounce back and them giving him the opportunity.
Well, and Rich, like along those lines, like I know some guys, it's a badge of honor that they're unwilling to part with. I only played shortstop. You know what I mean? Like I believe me, I really do get that. But like, do you think that maybe they might get creative and at least experiment with him at another position to get him out there in different spots? Or is he shortstop or bust?
Well, listen, weren't they talking about it before they signed Correa?
Yes.
They were talking, and that's before they even knew, what kind of a year he was going to have or start of a season he was going to have. So the talk has actually been there internally, I would assume, from the off season. So I would believe that there would probably be some talk of that, now. And I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you. Probably wouldn't go over too well with Brandon because, you're used to doing things a certain way. You've proved yourself in this league. You've won awards. You won rings. You're an all-star. Sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. And listen, I was in the same situation. It's not an easy thing to adjust to and to go through. And it's just a matter of, and we're not saying that's going to happen.
No.
But with the emergence of Casey Schmidt and seeing what he's done, I think it just brings the topic up a little more, whether it be within the organization or within, the media outlets that we're on right now. So, I definitely wish the best for Brandon. I hope he bounces back. But it remains to be seen. So, it's for me, this is a wait and see thing. Mm-hmm. And, it pushes the envelope a little more the longer Casey Schmidt performs at the level he has been.
Rich Aurilia here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. Former Giants shortstop, once hit 37 homers in the season. It was unbelievable. Does a great job on Giants pre- and post game on NBC Sports Bay Area with Carlos Ramirez and, of course, the Queen, Laura Britt. Talk about bouncing back, Richie. Michael Conforto, 4 for 4 yesterday, and Lamont Wade Jr. Lamont Wade, let's start there. I mean, he had a disastrous season a year ago, right? And he come back here in this last month. He's just been on fire here, and he's playing a damn good first base. How about Lamont Wade Jr., Richie?
Well, one thing that's surprising me is the level of first base he's playing. Because, we've seen him as an outfielder. We haven't really seen him exclusively at first base till this year. And he's done a really nice job. And, for the Giants to go from a defensive first baseman like they had in Brandon Belt to last year was a hodgepodge of guys pretty much. And then, now Lamont Wade's taken over there. It's been a nice transition defensively for him. Offensively, again, you said it, Bonte. Last year was a lost year for this guy. He was hurt, never got on track. Team wasn't playing well, but now he's inserted in that lineup. He's playing pretty much every day. He's getting on base. I think he leads the league in on base percentage.
Yep.
And now he's starting to swing the bat.
Yep.
And when you can add a guy like that, when you can add a guy like that and put him at the top of your lineup, where he has some pop, he can run a little, he has a good eye, he can get on base. It just makes his team just a bunch better. And then you flip to Conforto. We had him on as our guest after the game last night, and I asked him the question of, hey, we've seen you perform like this with the Mets for a number of years. I said, then you get hurt, you miss a whole year. You come to spring training, get hurt in spring training, you miss some of that. You get hurt early in the year with the calf strain, you miss some time there. I said, the difference for me, and I told him last night, is, you haven't played for a while. Your timing's not there. You're not seeing live pitching a lot, and you're swinging early in the count over balls that aren't strikes, so over breaking balls or pitches out of the zone. What I've seen the last 2 weeks from him is a guy that's kind of brought his zone back in, and now he's swinging at the pitches he can do damage with. He's swinging at strikes. He's not chasing a lot of pitches, and that's what he's done. And he gave a lot of credit to the coaching staff on some mechanical things they were working on. But this is a guy, that I think the staff sees something, because now he's hitting third in the lineup. And I think he's going to stay there for a while with the way he's been performing. And, if they could just get Haniger going, it'd be a nice little middle of the order punch that they have. I mean, I don't think anybody would put it up there with, middle of the order for, some teams in the league like, Arenado Goldschmidt or, the Dodgers or the Padres. But it'd be a formidable middle of the order where you have a couple guys that, have 30 home run potential.
Yeah. And, the middle of the order is interesting. It feels like we've been searching for true, 4 or 5 hitters for a long time. But I love Estrada's emergence here. Richie, as a former middle infielder, this guy's like a throwback player. I know he doesn't walk the way people want him to, but he's up there swinging. He puts the ball in play. He sprays it to all fields. He's got more power than you give him credit for. Leads the team with 58 hits right now. Leads the team in stolen bases. Doesn't strike out a whole lot, relative to some of the other guys in terms of plate appearances. I just really love the ball player Estrada's turned into, and he's kind of a throwback where he's just a gamer, and he's just a spark plug at the top of the order. I love everything about him, and the gloves improved.
Yeah, and we watching this team every day, we could see that starting to happen last year, because last year was just kind of a breakout year for him. He played pretty much every day. He was one of the few guys I felt on that roster that was an everyday player.
Yes.
And now you come into this year, he solidified his spot playing second base. He could play some shortstop if you need him to in a pinch. He could play the outfield a little bit if you need him to. Thankfully, this year, they haven't had to do that too much. And you could see how he settled in, both offensively, defensively. He gets a rap sometimes in not being the best defender. But again, I don't, I said this last year, I said it this year. I played with Jeff Kent. He got a rap for being a bad defender, but you know what? I don't remember Jeff Kent or right now Tyro Estrada losing a game for them on defense.
Exactly.
You're going to make your errors. I mean, everybody's going to make.
Thank you.
The world's coming to an end because Crawford's making some errors right now, right? Because we're so used to him being so good. But you're going to make your errors, and I think Tyro gets a bad rap, but he's put together a really, really nice couple months here, and as of right now, you would think for a Giants team that's in right around 500, he's probably their, you would think he's probably their all-star lock right now, going into the beginning of June.
No doubt. Richie, man, you have yourself a great week. You back on TV tonight?
Yeah, back on tonight with Laura and Carlos, and ready to go. Ready to see if, hopefully Alex Wood could give him a chance to go 5 innings.
Okay, Richie, can we have this? Okay, I want to have this conversation. So, no, just for a second, before you get going here. Okay, Little League, they have all these I'm not comparing Little League to the bigs, but they have all these restrictions on pitching. And I tell some of these coaches, I'm like, yeah, but your kid's going to go play catcher, and now he's throwing the ball back to the pitcher, or he's going to move to shortstop. I'm like, are we charting how many throws those are going through? You know what I mean? Like, in terms of warm-ups and stuff. Alex Wood's in the game the other day. He's one batter away from a decision, okay? And I get it. The game has changed dramatically. There wasn't stressful innings. No one was on base. It could be one pitch. Okay, maybe it's a 9 or 10 pitch at bat. I hear people. But he wasn't laboring throughout the game. They weren't charting how many warm-up pitches that he had thrown because Gabe didn't have an idea on that one. I thought it was a little absurd that they were so hard-lined on that. I found it to be ridiculous, in fact.
Well, first of all, I was over in Scotland playing some golf, and I looked at the box score, and I'm like, what happened? I'm like, 60 pitches, 4 2/3, no damage. I'm like, what happened? And then I remembered okay, he came off the IL, but listen, this is a 30-something-year-old guy. He's pitched in the league for got to be close to 10 years now. And I think this team is so analytically driven that the numbers show Alex Wood, according to them, can't pitch the third time through the lineup. So, I mean, unless he's pretty much perfect, he's really not going to go 5 innings. But it's hard when you have a team like this that in the last 5 days they've used an opener twice. So you look at tonight's game. I mean, how many relievers did they use last night? 5, 6. Yeah. They were all relievers. But so now you're going into another game today with a guy who has a short leash. The bullpen's going to be a little taxed. You have a hitter's ballpark, really. Thankfully, the Brewers are an offensive juggernaut this year. But, you have 3 more games there that you have to manage ahead sometimes to remember, hey, okay, well, we have a couple day games. We got, short night's sleep tonight. How are we going to use that at the pen? So hopefully tonight's the night. If Alex Wood has his good stuff, they'll give him a longer leash and give him an opportunity to go deeper into the game.
Did you see the Nolan Ryan doc?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And all I keep thinking of is someone like Nolan Ryan. You really going to yank me out of this game right here, right now? Like, for that guy down there in that bullpen? I don't know. My old school senses just drive me nuts on this.
Well, it gets me too, because we commented yesterday on the show about, how now, Kyle Harrison, they're going to extend him a little bit. And, we're talking about, when he's going to come up. I'm like, well, you can't come to the big leagues and throw 60 pitches. You can't be on a pitch count as a starter and throw 60 pitches, because you already have guys you're doing that with. And you're just going to deplete your bullpen even more. And, it remains to be seen, but it's a different day now when, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, those guys would just go out, throw 8 or 9 innings, 100 pitches every time. Game's changed now. And I don't know if it's for the better, but it definitely gets the bullpen a little more action. We know that.
Well, you want to save this bullpen because, you look at the schedule coming up here. You got Corbin Burns, of course, tomorrow night on a Saturday, but you got the Brewers, you got the Pirates, you got the Orioles, you got the Rockies at Coors Field. You know how that can, what that can do to a pitching staff out in Coors Field. Then you got the Cubs, Cardinals, Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks. These teams are loaded here, so you want to conserve these arms. It's not even July yet, and it feels like we've seen the bullpen pitch since it's August, man. You got to chill for a second.
Not even June.
Right, it's not even June. It's going crazy, man.
Well, that's the thing. The bullpen's had a nice little resurgence lately. But the thing I look for is, you can get through a half a season. But when you get to the end of July, beginning of August, and you got relievers already up in the 60-game mark, that's crunch time. You need those guys fresh in crunch time, too. So at some point, you think you have to let the starters go a little bit deeper and save those arms a little bit. But again, the last 2 out of the last, 5 days, bullpen game, opener, bullpen game. So it's tough. But somehow they've gotten it to work so far. And we'll see how it goes the rest of the way.
Yeah, 25-25. Battle back to 500 with this recent hot streak. Richie will be watching on TV today. Say hi to Carlos and Laura for us, man. Good job as always. We appreciate having you on the Morning Roast anytime. Thanks, Richie.
All right. Have a great weekend, guys.